So last session we discussed about working with the body section related new semantic elements. So how we can handle the body section related elements. So we learned about aside, article, dialogue, figure, and all those options. I hope you all practiced those have you practiced that all those options? We use a little bit of CSS also. So have you tried that CSS? So technically designing and working with the options. In HTML and CSS, usually you will not get errors. I don't know from where you got these errors. So in HTML, CSS, you will not get errors. Any errors will not be there. They are not programming languages. Only the point is you may be missing the spelling, you may be missing the properties. That is only the issue, that you will not able to present it properly. There will be no errors in HTML and CSS. Only the presentation issues will be there. So once you check the spellings, you check the formats and everything, right? Next, after understanding the basic elements and how to use the semantic elements in HTML. The semantic elements we learned in HTML were, these are all the semantic elements. Front-end web application, yeah. We created one small layout. So by using these techniques. So I hope everyone tried these styles also. Were you able to design this type of layout by yourself, everyone? Right? Yes. So this is we designed with the help of the combination of the styles and the semantic elements. Next important, after understanding the basic semantic elements, so in the body section, we have to understand about the body section. In the body section, you learned semantic elements. After understanding the semantic elements, like aside, article, dialogue, figure, caption, div, spans, header, footer, main, navigation and all. Now we need to know some more basic elements and entities. What are the basic elements and entities you need to know in HTML? Some important basic elements and entities you have to learn in HTML. Elements and entities. Let's see. Why we need these basic elements and entities? Because generally when you are designing a HTML page in any editor, currently we are using editor called Visual Studio Code. If you are using any editor, browser is in the editor, exactly how you defined in the editor. It is unable to present in the same format. So for that, we need to use some additional entities. So, and we need some basic elements. Let's see what they are. So that means, for example, I will create a new page here. So basic elements, okay, .html. Here we will design the basic structure, doc type, HTML, head, title, and here I will put basic elements. Okay. And in the body section, I am defining. In the body section, I am configuring some contents. So web technologies. Under that, we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Like this, I written some points. Now, when I try to present this on a browser, you can observe that the presentation, actually here I have 4 lines, but it is presenting everything in one line. Everything is presented in one line. It presents everything in one line. That means the browser is unable to present the content exactly how you have defined. It is unable to present the content exactly how you have defined. So it will miss some line breaks, blank spaces, and all such contents. You have to manually add them. And you have to manually configure them. So first, what you need to understand in the basic elements, first is line break. So by default, you can observe that line breaks are not present. So you can see everything is displayed in one line. I want to break lines. So then line breaks are defined in HTML with BR. BR is an element used for line break. Already I told you, some people write BR/. That is to tell that it is a self-ending element. But browser cannot understand that BR/. Professionally, you have to use only BR. So line break, it is used to add a line break manually. So let's go to the design. Here, web technologies. After web technologies line BR, it will put a line break. After HTML BR, it will put a line break. After CSS PR. After JavaScript, we don't have anything, so we can leave it. You can see that everything will be displayed in lines. You can add line break anywhere. So for example, suppose JavaScript, between Java and script, I am adding BR. That's okay. That means it will break those two and it will be like JavaScript, separate lines. It's not that line break should be added at the end. Anywhere you can add, at the beginning, in the middle. So at the end, you can add anywhere line breaks. So manually line break will not happen. Automatically line break will not happen. If automatically line break is not happening, you have to manually break the lines. You have to manually configure and break the lines. And how manually we can break the lines and configure the lines? For that, we have to use BR. BR is for line breaks. Second one, blank spaces. Blank spaces are defined with ampersand nbsp semicolon. Ampersand nbsp semicolon. That is blank spaces. Actually, HTML by default allows one blank space between the words or between the characters. So between words, between characters, one space is allowed. Additional spaces it cannot handle. So if I put one space, see the word HTML. I put one space, H space T space M space L, HTML. And you can see that one space is taken for HTML. One space is allowed. I am trying to use more space. I am using 2 more spaces between H, T, M and L. It will not take those additional spaces. You can see it's not taking. One character space it will take. If you want additional spaces, then you have to manually add them. For example, how to manually add the spaces. For example, I have the HTML in this way. First, one space we given, and additional space we have to give ampersand nbsp semicolon. If you want one more space, ampersand nbsp semicolon. Like that, you can add multiple spaces. That means total now 3 character spaces are present. One space is by default available. So, and the 2 spaces we are configuring manually. So if you put a space bar or tab, it is not going to present it. So you have to manually add the spaces. So and present them. Later with CSS, you can apply simple effects and you can give good spacing between the characters with CSS. But as of now, without CSS, the line breaks and the spaces are defined in this way. We have line break, we have blank spaces, BR and ampersand NBSP. But if you are trying to present very complex content, using line breaks and blank spaces also becomes difficult every time. For example, see, I am trying to present some complex content. I will keep a div. And here I will write as a sample C program. Suppose we are designing a website. That website is for people who are learning C language. And in that case, we have to put some programs so that they can see those programs and practice. Of course, they will not run those programs, just they can see the programs. So then generally C programs, when any computer programs, when we write, they have certain structure. For example, here, I am writing hash include, and I am writing here stdio.h. It's not a tag, okay. And here I am writing, so main. And here I am defining printf, some welcome to HTML, something like this. Actually, this is not to compile or run the program here. It is just to show a tutorial and a sample C program. But what problem you will face in this is lot of spaces, lot of line breaks, lot of presentation issues will be there. You observe carefully, so many line breaks are there, so many spaces are there, but it is going to display everything in one line only. It is going to display everything in one line. So that means, and you can observe that stdio.h is missing because anything you put in angle brackets, it thinks that it is a tag. So it is unable to present it. So to present these symbols, don't use the symbols directly. So some symbols you can use directly, like dollar, so like %, like ampersand. You can use these symbols directly, but exclamations, all these, at the net, all these you can use directly. But some symbols, when you try to use them, HTML will consider them as some special characters used by compiler, and it will try to translate them. That means if I use angle braces greater than, less than, it thinks like it is a tag. Due to that, it is unable to present it exactly how we are looking for. So that is the reason stdio.h is missing. Then what you have to do is remove those symbols. So stdio.h is present. But if you want to get those symbols, you have to manually add ampersand LT, that is less than, semicolon. After H, ampersand GT, that is greater than symbol. Less than and greater than symbol, and you can see that it will display those symbols. If you try those symbols directly, it will recognize like a tag. When it recognizes like a tag, it is unable to present it correctly how you are expecting. So what you have to do is you need to configure that and you have to define that with the help of symbols. But still the presentation is not exactly how you are expecting. You have learned line breaks and spaces. With the line breaks and spaces, you can put BR, but it's very complicated. Why? Because so many line breaks. After every concept, after every line, I need a BR. It is difficult to present such content with BR and ampersand nbsp, blank spaces, non-breakable spaces. In that case, what we can do is we can use another element that is pre-formatted text. Pre-formatted text. Pre-formatted text is defined in pre. Pre-formatted text is defined in pre. Pre is used for presenting pre-formatted text. Pre-formatted text means the content will be displayed exactly how you have defined in the browser, inside the editor. So what you have to do is remove this block and put a pre-block and write that in the pre-block. Remember, so when you write this in the pre-block, the formats will be taken exactly how they are. Remember, only formats. Formats means line breaks, blank spaces and all. Not the symbols. Symbols, again, you have to use greater than, less than. Many times when we say that pre is going to display the content exactly how you defined. Pre is going to display the content exactly how you defined. Then many times people come with a doubt like, sir, then I can use angle brackets here. Remember, so pre is going to display the content exactly in the same format, not the characters and all. Format means alignments. Only alignments will be presented in the same way. I will save this and you can see that it is going to present in a correct format. So you don't need to write a lot of line breaks, blank spaces and all. It is going to take exactly how you defined inside that brace. So generally presenting of content is done by using this mechanism. So if a lot of content is there to present in a correct format, then you have to use this technique. You have to use this pre-formatted technique. Now, angle braces will not take, it will not take these angle braces. If I write again these angle braces, you can see it will hide that stdio.h. So what you need to do here is you have to use the characters. You need to configure the characters. That means ampersand LT for less than symbol and ampersand GT for greater than symbol. You need to define in this way. So it is going to display those symbols and characters and specify that. That is the symbols, how you can manage. So line breaks, BR, blank spaces, ampersand nbsp, pre-formatted text, pre. That means pre-formatted text can display the information exactly how you have defined them. It will not take any additional spaces and line breaks. Exactly how much you configured, it will take that and it will present it correctly. So that is pre-formatted. After presenting the pre-formatted, its appearance you can change your wish. That means usually what we do is we can put a style at the head and in the style pre. In the pre, so background color, suppose I given as light gray, and it is going to apply that background color and display. So its appearance you can change according to your requirements, fonts, colors, effects, everything. Suppose I given as padding as 20 pixel. So I given the width as some 300 pixel, that it is going to display the content in this way. So that is actually pre-formatted text. Now, one more a new concept added into HTML is pre-formatted is okay. Pre-formatted is okay. But this is a code area. That means search engines in SEO, actually in SEO, the code area need to be defined. In SEO, the code area need to be defined. That means the search engines should able to understand that this block is some programming. This block contains some code. So, however, it is not going to compile or run this code, but it recognizes that it is some code. And if it recognizes that it is some code, then it can give that to the compilers which are embedded in a software. Those compilers can compile and process, because these days you see a lot of online compilers and editors are present. So for example, suppose we have JS Fiddle. JS Fiddle is used for JS Fiddle is used for directly practicing your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That means I said that we have to install an editor. So that is like Visual Studio Code. So people who have very less memory in their computers, so but have internet connection, like if they are using tabs like devices and they want to practice HTML, CSS and all, they can use this JS Fiddle. What JS Fiddle will do is it will provide an editor like environment. Here you can write HTML. So in the body section, so we put here welcome to HTML like this in HTML. So and when they run that, the result will be displayed there. So you can see the result will be shown here. So this is an editor. And remember, this is an editor inside the browser itself. It works like an editor, like C programming, Java programming. So we have specialized editors, online editors. You don't need to download and install anything. You can just use like this. So these are online editors. You can directly use them exactly how they are. Now, such editors are becoming very popular. In that case, browser needs to understand that this area belongs to code. Search engines should understand that that area belongs to the code. So it is a code area. So technically it is a code area. So I want to talk to this genius. Who is this genius? Yes, Abhishek Gupta. What is your doubt? Tell me. What is your doubt, Abhishek Gupta? Speak. What is your doubt? Don't waste time. Just speak. I don't want to chat with you on the chat box. Just speak. That will be more faster and easy. Then just keep quiet. Why it cannot show header? Why it cannot show header? Why it cannot show header? Yes, Abhishek, tell me.
Sir, if we write header there, then it will. I think it can't show, sir.
Why it can't show?
So because I think it's inbuilt programming, sir. You have written only body, so it is giving only.
Whatever you write, it will show there.
Okay.
And,
understand, sir.
What type of question you are asking? Be matured here a little bit in your questions. Right. So technically, the point here is this is just a online editor I am showing. Right. So our intention is how you can recognize that it is a code area. To recognize that it is a code area. So then technically, the code areas have a special option. So now for code area, you can write by using code element. We have a new element called code. Actually, the concept of code element is used for telling the browser and the search engines that this part is some programming. This part is having some computer program. However, they are not going to compile and run it. But what later as a developer we can do is through JavaScript and through other programming languages in our combination of HTML, we can read that code area and give it to a compiler which can process that, and it can present it and it can show the result. So for that, we need to write in a code area. So you can see that now, but code area is not going to keep the formats in the same way. Formats are defined with pre only. For example, I will remove the pre and I will put code. When I remove the pre and put code, and you can see that code looks like from ordinary heading, ordinary body text, it looks like a different font style. If it is a different font style, it doesn't means that it is only the font style. So it indicates that it is the code area which can manage your code, access the code, translate that, and present it. That's the basic approach. Actually, that's the basic approach. But it will not have pre-formatted presentation. So now we have to use combination of both of them. First, write inside the code. And if you want to keep the presentation exactly in the same way, put it in pre also. So now it is suitable for both situations. Presentation wise, it will be perfect. And search engine optimization SEO wise, it is easy for a browser to understand that this is the code area and it is going to present the code area. So it works in the both situations. So only pre is only for presentation. Only code is for only for SEO and browser. If you want both, you can use the combination of both and define the combination. So that is generally the code area, how you define the code area and configure the code area. So this used specially for any kind of code that you are trying to present inside the page. So that is, so in the basic elements, we have line breaks, we have blank spaces, so we have pre-formatted text and code area. Another important, for such computer programming, we can have variables. Var is for variables, right? Yes, Rakesh, tell me, what is your doubt?
Sir, I'm not understood about this course, sir.
What you understood, tell me at least. What you listened to my concept.
Means you said that you can display the code only, which we have written in that.
That's what you listened. What I told, some points I told. What points I told, at least you are unable to understand, that's fine. What
Yes,
points I told, at least those remembered. What points I told, if I write in code area, what will happen?
it will display exactly.
Only display. That is code or pre? That is code or pre, which will display exactly how you written.
We will display how we exactly written.
Then what I told you about code, what you remembered? Pre will display exactly.
Yes,
Up to that clear?
Yes, sir.
Leave it. Then what I told you about code then? What code will do?
Code will display the.
Pre is already displaying. Leave it.
Yes, sir.
What code will do?
That is what I'm not understanding.
Not understanding, not listening properly. I told
Okay.
you a point that code is used for searching an SEO.
Okay.
You heard that word? Huh?
Yes, sir. I heard, but
That means you are not listening properly, not understanding properly. Understood?
yes, sir.
If you listen properly, it's easy to understand. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
That means if you miss the point that SEO, that means you think that I am unable to understand. It's not understanding. You are not listening. It's not
Okay.
listening. Okay. It's not
Okay.
listening. Right. Listen properly about the terms I am speaking about. Okay. Right. So code is for SEO. Remember that word. And pre is for, so exactly how you define pre format. So if you want to make it search engine friendly, to understand that it is search engine friendly, then we have to use code, right? Code is not going to present exactly in the same way. For that, we have another option. So we have another option, variables. Another option, variable, presentation of variables. So presentation of variables, how we can present the variables. Actually, variables are related to computer programming again. And if you want to present such variables in a presentation so that they can be used for the programming and they can be handled for programming, then we have to define the variables. So by using var is used for variables. So this is also a new concept introduced here. So for variables, for example, suppose I am configuring here. So I am writing some options like this. So here I am defining like x, where I am writing and x is equal to some value 10. And where y is a variable, and here I defined as 20. So where some z is a variable, where z is a variable is equal to, so where x, so plus, so where y. Like this we are writing the presentation. Now you can see that when you define in this way, it is going to present the content. And the presentation will be in this way. You can see the variables. So x looks in a different appearance. X, Y, Z, they look in a different appearance. Of course, we will put a line break here. So we will put a line break here, and you can see that it will be in this way. X, Y, Z, these three contents have a different appearance. It's not about appearance. Appearance I can give with font colors also. So it's about how the browser is going to recognize them. It is going to recognize as an element. It is going to recognize as a programming element. So like a variables. So because these days online programming is a lot of happening. Web developers have to ask clients to write programs, test them, compile them. We have to design such editors. In that case, we need to understand that this belongs to programming, this doesn't belongs to programming. So we need to classify the content. It's ordinary text or it is code. For that situation, we have the option. So code and where like concepts. Where is used for variables. Now sometimes, so when you are writing such programs and giving to online compilers, then some comments we write. Those comments, the compiler should not take to compile and process. It should just display the comment as it is. For that, we have another concept called sample text. For sample text, we have an element called sam. SAMP is used for displaying sample text. It is used for displaying sample text. So you can see here, suppose I want to write here. So I will keep a div. Okay, in this div, I will write, so SAMP, S-A-M-P, SAMP. I will write SAMP. And in that SAMP, I am defining some content. So I will simply put a note, and this is a program. So to make a program, this is a sample program, something like sample program. So this is a sample program. So just I am writing in the SAMP, and you can see that it have a different appearance. That SAMP have a different appearance. Its font style is different. Its appearance is different. That means it will use a different font style. That font style is not the main concept here. That means when it is going to take, suppose I will write all this in the code area, all that in the code area. And that means you can see that it is taking everything as a code block. It is taking everything as a code block. But variables have a different italic-like appearance. And sample text is having like sample, so a different font style. So that means now it is able to clearly classify that in this code area, this line need not to be compiled. So then these lines need to be compiled or processed. Like that we are dividing. Remember, these are not going to compile or run or process or anything. They will not do anything. Just it is a presentation that you can do later with JavaScript. How to give them to the compilers, how to process them, how to handle them. You will see later in JavaScript, jQuery, how you manage these options. Initially, this is just a presentation. So SAMP is used for sample text. So BR is used for breaks, blank spaces, pre-formatted text, code areas, variables. These are all the basic elements and entities which we have to write and use in the body section for different types of presentations. Basic elements are these. I hope everyone understood this. They are easy, simple to understand, nothing complicated inside that, right? Yes. I already told you, we use them with JavaScript and jQuery. I hope you listen to that word. Huh? Are you listening properly, right? I told you that we see these options, how to handle them in JavaScript, jQuery. Huh? I hope you heard about that. Huh? Yes, Apeksha, what is your doubt?
Sir, could you please repeat the concept of variables?
Variables are used in computer programming to store values in memory. That in HTML, you present as a variable by using the keyword var. That's it. Understood?
Okay, but in the programming, we run.
I already told you that these programs are not going to run and compile here.
Okay.
You understood that point, right?
Yes, sir.
That is only for presentation.
Presentation.
Right. Yes, Rishabh.
Sir, actually, I could not attend today class before 10 minutes. So could you please repeat what is blank space?
A blank space is used to put a space between the characters or words.
Sir, could you please show and
It is used to put a space between characters and words. You have to attend the class at regular correct time. Okay, na?
yes, sir.
Right. Yeah, these are the basic things you understood now. Next, important. After understanding the basic HTML elements and entities, how to deal with them, right? Okay, so that is how we can configure these elements. Fine. Next important after understanding. So the options, how we can define the variable, sample text, and all these options. I told you, don't think more than what I am showing here. I already told you very clearly, these are not going to compile, process the programs. They are only for presentation. So this is for only presentation of code, presentation of code, presentation of the contents in a format, right? They are not going to compile or run or process anything. Okay, right. Next, after understanding these basic elements, now we need to know about presenting the contents in different containers. For that, you have some important options to understand. So how the containers will happen. Actually, the various containers for presentation already use a div is there, a span is there for presenting the content. Divs and spans are used for presenting the contents. So these are also containers only, containers. But some containers are used for a special appearance. For example, we have container like field set. Actually, field set and legends. We use field set and legend. Field set and legend. So while presenting the content, you have the field set and legends. For example, so I'm writing here a simple, I'm configuring here a simple field set. Field set will put a simple frame. You can see it will put a simple frame. That means just a box with a predefined border. That is actually field set. Inside the field set, you can present any content. I will write a div. So sample C program, okay, like this. Or simply here we can put a pre, and here we are writing hash include. So and ampersand LT std io.h and ampersand GT. So and here, so we have main, some printf, so welcome to HTML, something like this. Now it is going to present that inside that field set. Now I will remove that pre-related effects we are having in the style. I will simply remove that. So the pre-effects are removed from the style. It will be normal inside the field set. Now generally for field set, so we can use a legend. Field set can use a legend inside. Legend is used for displaying a caption. Here we will write here sample C program, that is in the legend, and you can see it looks like this now. So that is the field sets and the legend. So a field set contains a legend. Legend will display like this. You can give different appearance for that. For example, I want legend center, I want it right, I want left. You can change the alignment. For example, here you can write legend in the style. Legend here we defined as suppose text align center. That means legend text alignment will be center. You can keep it center. You can, by default it is left, you can keep it right. But you cannot keep it bottom, it will be top only. So legends usually in the top row, left, center or right, you can configure anywhere. You can give a different appearance. For legend, I give padding as 5 pixel and I will give a background color as black and I will put a color as white, and that appearance will get for that legend. You can give a different appearance for the legend and we can configure. Later with CSS, we can add more effects and options for that. Sometimes we can put a shadow. Suppose if you want to put a shadow for any container, you can use box shadow. Box shadow is used to put a shadow. Now box shadow have three basic values first. One is horizontal shadow. How many pixels? 10 pixels horizontal. So 4 pixels vertical and 3 pixels blur. I will explain. You cannot understand until or unless I show them properly. And color is suppose gray. And you can see that a shadow will be there. You can see that legend is having a shadow. Legend is having a shadow. You can display shadow. You can display for field set, or you can display for legend. You can display for div. Anywhere you can use this shadow. Now observe here, actually first value is horizontal how much. That means horizontally how many points you have to move. Suppose I say 20. That means 20 points horizontal. Horizontal means right side it will move. Suppose I written 30. Horizontally it will move 30 points. Horizontal it is moving 30 points. So I will put horizontal 10. Okay, that is 10. Horizontal I will give as 5. Okay, little bit more left side. Vertical, second value is vertical. Vertically 14. Then it will come down. Shadow will come down. So vertically you say 24. That means it will come more down. So vertically how much? 4. That's okay. And the third one is blur. Blur means, so if I give 1, that means now the shadow will be solid color. So shadow will be very solid color shadow. So if I give 0 pixel, then it is the solid color. You see, solid color will be there. Shallow will be solid. Suppose I give 20, you see shadow will blur. It will blur the shadow. Suppose I say 10, you can see it is blurred the shadow. Shadow is there, but it is blurred. So not solid. So you can change the color and see red color. You can see red color blur will come. But solid I want, then you put 0. 0 means solid shadow. Little blur, that means 2 pixel, then little blur will come. So 5 pixel, so more blur will come. More blur will come. Those are the options for the shadow, right? Yes. And yes, what is your doubt?
Sir, can we use this shadow minus values?
Like, you can use minus values also.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yeah. So this is basically configuring how you want to manage and define. Right? Now, in CSS, you will learn all of them. Huh? Here, just reasonably, we are discussing this, not a part to discuss at all in HTML, but just I am showing you additional effects. When you learn in CSS, you will learn how the values are configured, what's the limit to define for the values, all this. Initially, that is the shadow you can configure for that legend and display. So field sets and legend is one important for presentation. Suppose you want to create groups, you can define that and specify that by using this technique. Now I am writing something else again. That means I will go here and I will add one more field set. So one more field set, and in that we have a legend. So I say sample. So JSON. Suppose I say JSON data. And here we just used a pre-formatted, and we are writing like this. In the pre-formatted, we are writing like this. We have name, so we have like name, and we have like mobile, and next we have like price. So like some price we defined. This is some predefined data name. So I define like some watch and price. So, and we defined some price like this we have configured. And you can see that this is another presentation, and it will display like this. You can have some spaces between these field sets. So that means between every field set. So in the style I am defining. So for field set, so I said field set, I will put here as margin bottom margin of every field set will have 30 pixels, and it will give 30 pixels space, some space between the field sets. You can adjust the width, you can adjust the height, you can keep the alignment according to your requirement. Suppose for field set, we can define width as 300 pixels. The width of field set will be adjusted. You can keep them side by side, one below another. For that, we need to learn different display formats. Initially, that is adjusting the width, adjusting the height, configuring it and defining it. So field sets are used for displaying such type of content. That means a category of options that we are defining. You will see it mostly while working with online application forms. Different categories of content will be defined in those forms. While working with the forms, we can use these field sets very much. So that is field set and legend. That is one container, how you can configure the field set and legend. Another important we are having details and summary. We are having details and summary. We are having the combination of details and summary. So details and summary is used. This is also a container. But what is the specialty about this details and summary, how they are going to work? You see here, I'm adding an option details, okay, .html. So when we are designing this, so let's add here. So doc type HTML head, title, some details. And in the body section, so here we are designing. So a simple navigation bar like. So I will keep a div here as navigation. So I will say quick navigation. And here I am writing details. Details is a container. In this details container, so in the details container, initially I am adding div. So this is like suppose JBL's another div, like another. Later we will learn about lists and all. So this is like, yeah, so Samsung TV, like another div, like some fossil watch, something like this we define. Now this is details, like that different details will be there. We can add another details. Either Cooper boot, something like this. And another details. So this is a container again. And in this we say some shirt, some div, like some jeans like this. Now every details, you can see that usually the details are displayed. Let's run that and see. Usually when I run this, the details are displayed in like this. This is details. So, but these details need a good summary. So that means by default, it will take as details. You put a summary. In the details summary, this is electronics. And if summary is not defined, it will use the word details. And here we have summary. Summary is, so this is footwear. And here and you can see electronics. I can expand, I can view, and I can display. Presentation, your wish. Inside that, how you want to present, that's your wish. You can expand and collapse. That means, for example, in the style, I'm adding style. In the style, so we have details. In the details, wherever div is present, details space div, wherever div is present. So margin left we given as 30 pixel. Margin bottom. So we defined as 20 pixels. 20 pixels. So, and you can see that. Now, when I expand this electronics, it will get like this. I will say footwear. I will say fashion. So later we can put them links, clickable. We can do a lot of work. So this is presenting the content in a details and summary. Unfortunately, Internet Explorer, you change your browser and update your browser to the latest versions. Otherwise, so old version browsers cannot recognize these details and summary. They will not work. So this is details and summary. And by default, all are hidden. Suppose I want this footwear to open by default, then you can use the attribute open. By default, footwear will open. Of course, you can close it later, but whenever page refresh or page is loaded, footwear will open. You can keep open all of them. So open this electronics. Electronics also open. But any one is enough. So by default, one topic will open, others you can expand or collapse. Or you can keep all the topics collapsed also, depending on your requirement. This is details. This is details and summary. Details and summary. So when you are configuring, so this is the approach how you need to define the container. So this is how we can use field sets and legends, how you can use details and summary. Details and summary. Now you have some more options to configure, like, so we have the options like paragraphs, we have like block codes. These are all containers. We have data lists. So how we can use all those and how do we work with them, that we will see in our next session. Okay. So on Monday, we will discuss about that. In the next session, we will finish all the basic containers. Then we can learn about links, navigation, and work with them. Okay. Monday we'll continue with this.